Vanessa, this pandemic has caused a lot of people and groups to compete against one another. Maybe it's on purpose, but that's what is happening. People are competing against who gets to open and when, and now they're competing against who gets to get the vaccine first and when. These days, it seems like everything's a competition. The CDC is recommending the country prioritize reopening schools, but that will come at a price.
Then we need to prioritize all of the conditions that are needed to bring as many students back as possible. And, we absolutely don't want to be pitted against the elderly.
Boston Teachers Union president says not all healthcare workers and seniors should be vaccinated first. So you feel like it should be more nuanced?
Truthfully, if there are healthcare workers who are able to provide remote services, I'm not so sure that they actually should be prioritized. Thousands of educators who are scheduled right now to return back to in-person classrooms on Monday, working with some of our highest need students, many of whom which have disabilities, which prevent them from being able to socially distance or wear masks.
Competition over limited vaccines and competition over who stays open. That CDC study says compiled data found little evidence of COVID outbreaks in schools, and that's why it's choosing them over restaurants and gyms. But a few hours before the study came out, Boston announced restaurants and gyms will reopen next week. Meanwhile, schools are only open for students with high needs.
Schools should be the biggest priority, but I think at the same time, we have to also kind of take in consideration that it's probably the biggest problem to solve, and it might take the longest time. Gyms are kind of a little bit more of a smaller problem, and like smaller businesses, we can reduce capacities, we can reduce interactions, we can create pop-up studios.
The competition seems to continue, with the state criticizing union leaders for attacking good faith efforts to go back to school, despite overwhelming evidence that it is safe to do so. Those leaders say even that CDC study has competition.
And I think that's contradicting a lot of the research that's coming out of the UK right now that actually has said that the opposite. If those safety conditions and measures aren't in place, then that's where you have situations where it can lead to increase transmission in the community.
And union leaders say they know that the state can't mandate a vaccinated and safe return to school, but they say that the state can help with funding to make sure there is enough funds for on-site rapid tests and to make sure that these schools have updated facilities. But, of course, there's a competition for resources and money as well.
Well, last night we reported the teachers union and state leaders are scheduled to meet on Thursday. With all of this back and forth happening right now, do you know if that meeting is still happening?
It is still happening, but the union leaders say that was one of their main pain points. They felt like there wasn't a lot of communication with the state when it came to the vaccine rollout. They wish there was more, they were included, in some of those discussions.
Well, Aliyu, we know